Hello, today we will be learning about some angle relationships, and by the end of the day you should be able to say that you can identify and explain the angle relationships that occur with parallel lines and transversals and calculate missing angles using those relationships. Now the first thing we should look at is if we want to find missing angles. If I know that side is 53, or that angle I should say, this angle over here is going to be 53 as well because those are vertical angles. Now, if I want to find B and C, halfway around is 180. So if I take 180 minus 53, I'll get 127, and that's what B will be. And since those are vertical angles, so will C. So this is something that we've done in the past, and we'll use this moving forward. By the end of the day, we'll have a diagram like this, and we'll be able to fill in all the missing angles. Now, identifying angles. When we have two lines and both of them are intersected by another line, that line is called a transversal. Now, the transversal cuts through both those lines, and it creates inside angles, we'll call interior angles, and then outside angles, we call exterior angles. So the interior angles are 3, 4, 5, and 6, and the exterior angles is 1, 2, 7, and 8. Now we're going to get more specific than just interior and exterior, where we're going to have angles that correspond. Now angle 1 is in the upper left hand corner, and 5 we say corresponds with that because it's in the upper left hand corner. Same with 2 and 6, 3 and 7, and 4 and 8 because it corresponds to where they are at on those angles. Now vertical angles we've learned before are across from each other. So 1 and 4, 2 and 3, 5 and 8, and 6 and 7. Alternate interior angles. If we just look at our interior angles, the alternate interior are the ones that alternate from the left side to the right side. So 3 and 6, and 4 to 5. Alternate exteriors, similar. We have 1 to 8, and 2 and 7. Consecutive interior are the two in a row. Sometimes this is called same side interior. That's 3 and 5, and 4 and 6. Alright, so now that we have these names down, let's see what happens. If I click on this, this is a GeoGebra exploration, and we're going to see what happens when these things are parallel. Alright, so now if we look at this GeoGebra, now this is a little difficult to see. I'll move these up just a tiny bit so we can see it more. Now, if you look at these angles, these are parallel lines. Hopefully you can see that this angle up here and its corresponding angle are congruent. We also know there's vertical angles, so these alternate interiors are congruent as well. And your alternate exteriors are congruent too. So if you know one of these angles, you can find all of the other ones, all the other 7. But if these are not parallel, there's no connection between these angles, or these angles. So we have to make sure that they're parallel lines, or else we won't be able to find them. So if we take a look at what we found from that, is corresponding angles, vertical angles, alternate interior angles. Here we go. Alternate exterior angles are congruent when the transversal cuts those parallel lines. And the consecutive interior angles are supplementary. So all the other ones are congruent, or consecutive interior or supplementary. So now let's look at angles 1 and 4. They're across from each other. Hopefully you know those are vertical angles. Angles 1 and 8, both are on the outside. It switches from one to the other, so that's alternate exterior angles. Numbers 3 and 5, they're both interior and they're on the same side, so it should say consecutive interior angles. There was a mistake when it was made, but hopefully you understand now. 2 and 6, those are both in the upper right hand corner, So those would be corresponding angles. 4 and 5, both on the inside, and there's some alternating going on. So those are alternate interior angles. Now if one angle is, measure angle 2 is 75, let's find the degree of the rest of them. The easiest ones are the other ones that are 75. So the vertical angles, 75. Now 6 and 7 are going to correspond with those, so those are 75. The other angles are both going to be supplementary. So 180 minus 75 is 105, and then once you know that, all of these other ones will also be 105. Now keep in mind, we can only know this because of that symbol means these two lines are parallel. If that symbol wasn't there, we wouldn't be able to find the others. Now if we have measure of angle 2 here is 45, take a second and try to do this on your own. Hopefully you know that the vertical angle is 45. These two angles are 45. Now if I subtract from 180, I'll get 135. So then we fill those in all of the other spots. Alright, so now let's keep moving. This is our success criteria of the day. Let's see if we can do this. So take a minute, pause the video, and see if you can do that on your own. Keep in mind that these three things all mean that all three of those angles are congruent. Where 3 dashes matches up with 3 dashes, those two are congruent. And these lines mean parallel. So those two lines are parallel, and these two lines are parallel. All right, give it a shot. All right, hopefully you're finished with this, and you can just unpause the video. So I'm going to work our way through this. If I want to find A, I take 180 minus 28. So 180 minus 28 is going to give us 152. So I'll fill in 152 here. And I like to just fill it in there. And 28 and B is going to be 28. Now we know all of these angles are here. I like to fill in angles even though there's not a letter there, just so it sometimes helps us with other ones. So if this line is parallel with this line, we could fill in all of these angles here. 152, 152, 28, 28. And since these two are parallel, we can fill in these angles. 28, 152, 152, and 28. Now we can fill in these angles kind of. You know, this one's 28, this one's 28, this one's 152. But now this big one is cut in half. So we have to take 152 divided by 2. So each one is going to be 76. All right. So we got all of these based off of this angle being 28. So now I am going to maybe move up here. If this is 62, across from that, it's also going to be 62. Subtract from 180, and that's going to be 118. So I'll fill in this one as well. Since these lines are parallel, these are same side interiors, or these are alternate interiors, so this angle has to be 62. And since these three P's line up, that's 62. And K, it even tells us it has that right angle symbol. They just want you to know that that means 90 degrees. And so we have that whole section. Now, if I have 166 here, I subtract from 180, and that would be 14. And then over here, since those match up, that would be 14 as well. Now, if I have 180 degrees and all three are the same, that means each of these angles has to be 60 degrees. And since each of those is 60 degrees, S and R are alternate interiors, so S has to be 60. All right, hopefully you are understanding that, and you can move on with the homework. Good luck.